So Tanner is away today, here tomorrow, and then gone for a few weeks. Is that right?
Yep, he's down in Pittsburgh for 3 weeks of May. Well, they train him up for something. I don't know why they need to take him down there.
Apparently
What company is
Pittsburgh's where
that?
it happens.
That's Eaton.
Eden?
Yeah.
Is it like the Eden Center?
Nah. It's whatever their whole actual name is. I should probably know this.
Well, you don't work for them, do you?
Nope. It's Eaton Engineering. That was pretty easy.
Interesting. And what do they do?
Engineer?
He specifically does transformer maintenance and installs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Huh.
You mean he works with Optimus Prime? Damn! No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely with Decepticons here.
Oh my gosh.
Well, a courtesy, I have transferred everything over to the new server. If there is an issue with your character sheet, if there is something missing, I don't see why there should be. I literally copied the folders directly over. But if there is an issue and something's missing or incorrect, let me know. I can't imagine how that would be possible. There was nothing wrong on my other game, but just as a courtesy. And let me know. You shouldn't see a whole lot of performance difference on your end, except maybe this server will probably run a little smoother and unmasking and things like that will be faster. But other than that, it should be pretty much the same. You may have to adjust your volume. I'll turn on some semi-loud battle music, and should start up here in a minute. Put it to about right there. And if you want your battle music or your music quieter or louder, you just right-click on gaming music in the Discord and adjust the volume. It should be the same, but
Yeah, it seems fine for me. Yep.
Yeah, I'm good.
Otherwise, everything else should be the same. No issues. So, we are going to jump right in. It's been 2 weeks. Everybody have a good Easter?
Yes.
Mine was relatively uneventful.
Uneventful is good sometimes. So, when we left off, we finished the game in what was quickly becoming the ruins of Sloobludop. A large chunk of the party was suffering from some short-term madness, and caused by the sight of what the Kalatoans were calling Limagagoon, but revealed itself to be Demogorgon, the Prince of Demon Lords, Prince of Demons, one of the more powerful Demon Lords. And I covered a little bit there towards the end of the game, just what that entails in terms of things like, rather than just a straight demon that you have to contend with, a demon lord carries additional issues, and one of those was they are so powerful they warp reality. I just want to kind of reiterate that. For those of you who've read the Driss novels, Loth is, in essence, a demon lord. She's probably a little bit different, but she is a demon lord. She exists in the abyss. Demons are chaotic creatures that thrive on just chaos and carnage and destruction. Now, when it comes to demon lords like Demogorgon, they corrupt everything. So if you have a demon lord who is in a certain area, the stone itself, the plants, the animal life are going to become corrupted. They're going to begin modifying, mutating. You know, you guys saw a couple sessions ago a rock ceiling that was made up of undead zombie flesh. This is the type of reality. What's that?
The signs were all there. We just chose to ignore them.
So there's a lot of reality warping. So that's one of the major concerns. That's one reason why the Abyss is such an awful place to be. It drives mortals insane. The sight of a demon lord causes mortals to have to make saving throws versus madness. Madness is a stacking thing. So how madness works, and this is the last thing I'll mention before we dive right in with the recap. Madness is a stacking thing. So you hypothetically do a wisdom saving throw, and you fail it. That's going to be provoked by something that would, damage your mind, seeing something so alien, having an awful nightmare, watching a 35-foot tall demon lord pop out of the dark lake. If you get a bout of short-term madness, it's usually a few minutes. If you encounter something again, the damage that's already been done to your psyche and brain, the second time you're going to have a long-term case of madness. These can last hours. And the third time, you're going to suffer a indefinite form of madness. And these will be in the form of character traits. Things like I'd add to your character sheet, obsession with something, or there's a number, tons of them. I misapplied that rule last time. I thought I misread something, thought I saw long-term madness on somebody's sheet, but nobody had long-term madness, so nobody has indefinite madness. Not yet.
Not yet.
Curing long-term madness and short-term madness, if you are able to, when you are able to, will reset that counter back to 0. So if you are able to cure that, it will then, the next time you're exposed to something, your psychological damage you've suffered is nil. Therefore, you will start back at short-term madness. So, other than that, does anybody have any questions about the madness before we start a recap? Just a little small one.
Not about the madness from here, no.
What you got?
The question I had was what you said we were looking over like our character sheets from our last time, and we could like choose feats and stuff. Or are we just gonna go? Are we just gonna go over that later? So.
No, we can go over that whenever you're ready.
Okay. I was thinking of taking Sentinel for the feat for my 4th level.
Excellent feat.
It served Oglavone very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to add it, if you just drag it and drop it on the abilities tab.
Where would I?
Library.
I see it. Feats, and just drive down to Sentinel, and go on drag and drop onto. There we go.
And the second half is go down under features. Should be the top one, says ability score improvement. Just put a dash there and type what you used your ability score improvement for. For your case, you added Sentinel. If you added 2 points to your intelligence, just put +2 intelligence. That's just so when you guys are level 12 and I'm doing a random thing where I go through and see how your character sheets are holding up, checking for errors, or I will know that your stats were X, and then you added this, that, and that. So that should be pretty smooth. In regards to Tanner, and I told him, like I tell all players, I run long-term games. I would rather somebody feel like they can take care of their life and go to training and not feel pressure about the game. So I told him not to worry about it, just let you guys know. He's just going to be taking some games off while he gets, he's finishing college. He's transitioning from college to sucky adult life.
It's not that bad.
So he may miss a couple games. The 2 choices in terms of another player's character is another player can play them. Probably, I'd assume Mal, since you guys live together. If you're not comfortable with that or you don't have the desire for that, I will play him, and that's not an issue. I will just kind of consult with you guys. Do you want him to heal? Just kind of to keep track of what your intentions are.
All right.
So think that over. Let me know what you want to do. I don't need an answer right now. So at the end of the last game, you guys had stolen 2 keel boats. I used raft icons on the map, but they're keel boats. Keel boats are actual large 6, 7-person boats. Here is what you're dealing with. Once that shows up, you guys will be able to see what kind of quality of boats you're dealing with.
All right.
Cool.
As we keel haul ass away from here.
So if you guys want to swap people, each boat has a maximum of 6. And if you want to move them around, small characters do count as 1, medium or small still is 1 for 1. So if you want to swap them around, that's perfectly fine. I just threw them on there randomly. But where we left off, you guys are starting to row away. So is there anything anybody has a question on, comment on, before we dive in?
Yeah, refresh me on who's unconscious, if there's people still unconscious.
At the start of this, no one's going to be unconscious because you were dealing with mostly short-term and long-term memory, so it was already wearing off.
Okay, alright. Well, then
But it is worth knowing that it's going to get worse the more you're exposed to madness.
Can't see mind-altering craziness if you get rid of your own eyes.
That's true.
There we go.
That's either a solution or the result of madness. All right, so I'll let you guys go with that. So we will get some music going, and as everybody's kind of waking up, you guys are rowing rapidly away from the fading sounds of Sloobludop being just obliterated. It is definitely being just trashed.
I could just imagine like Spirit being at like the front of the ship, refusing to look back, like just mumbling, "Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom and Gomorrah."
Frantically rowing.
Yeah. Must paddle faster. Must paddle faster. Call over to the other boat. Paddle faster! I hear banjos.
So I will pull the sound up here. I still have to download a lot of my sounds. Should be here in about a couple seconds. So there we go. Get that sound picked up. So as you are sailing, more accurately, as you are rowing your way across the cavern, it doesn't take long for both Agile Smoke and Rolen to notice and point out that there are shadows following underneath the water.
Oh, fuck.
Of course, it couldn't have been this easy.
And you'll also notice that there is absolutely no light on the Dark Lake, hence its name. And in the tunnels, you often found fungus and things like that, but there's no light here. It's pitch black. For those of you who specifically Rolen, he does have dark vision from the monk key points, but so it doesn't take long. There are manta ray shaped creatures following you guys as you move through. You hear the occasional splash, things of that nature. And they're just definitely lurking. There'll be a picture incoming eventually.
If they keep following us for a while more, perhaps we should have a spellcaster create an explosion or something, just a show of power, you know. Show we are not an easy meal. But let's wait a while and see what they do.
Wow, that's horrifying.
I say, yeah, he don't look friendly.
It's like a moth, but worse.
I don't like the look of them fangs on there.
So as you guys row, you guys get a good distance in rowing. You're making reasonable speed, and they do continue to follow. After a short distance of following, they disappear and then they reappear. After you're rowing for about an hour and Sloobludop is a good distance away, and you're no longer hearing the roars in your ears of Demogorgons slamming and crushing, the screaming death cries of the Kawatoans, the creatures, which I should have had a name up there, but it's Ixalchatnal, if you're curious how to pronounce that, begin coming closer to the surface, and you guys start to feel them hitting the bottom of the boats.
Oh no!
And this is a good time to mention, or at least explain to you, because it will matter, you're going to be traveling on these boats, how boats work. So a keel boat is pretty straightforward. I will eventually put them on the sheet. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to touch on it just a little. So a boat is just like a character. It has hit points. It has armor class. For example, a keel boat has 100 hit points. It has an armor class of 15, and the armor class is not whether it gets hit, it's whether the hit is hard enough to actually do damage, because you can hit wood and not actually damage it. When it comes to the keel boat, its armor class is 15, and in addition to that, it has an actual damage threshold. So here is the general information about a keel boat. I'm going to post it in the chat. There you go. So your speed's 1 mile per hour. And so we're going to cover a little bit of this because it's worth mentioning. It takes 2 people to crew this particular keel boat. Some can be crewed with 1. Cargo's not a huge issue, 6 passengers of those. Damage threshold. So this is what is going on in terms of the Ixalchatnal. They are, when they hit the bottom of the boat, they would have to roll an actual attack, and if they hit, they would do damage. Their damage is 4. A structure has a damage threshold if it only takes damage that exceeds that number per hit. So if the Ixalchatnal were to do 9 points of damage, the boat takes 0 damage. If it does 11 damage, the boat takes 1. It's per attack, so it has to do more than 10 points of damage in 1 hit to actually damage the boat. That's not necessarily important at this second. I'm mentioning it now because it's going to matter later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to add those to your sheet eventually in the next few minutes. But so now the second portion of this is something that you have to do pretty much every time you start a party starts on the Dark Lake. And it's going to come in the form of a decision. And that is, I'm going to send you this, and it's going to be your rowing rotation. So the Ixalchatnal are attacking the boat, but they are, sadly for them, not skilled or strong enough to actually do damage to these boats, as far as you can tell. That or they're holding back. You're not exactly sure. Did everybody get that sheet?
Yep.
I did.
So,
There
when traveling on the Dark Lake, the assumption is that people operate in shifts, 8-hour shifts, and that being, or 6-hour shift, whatever kind of shift you want to rotate in. So if you were to operate in 8-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts, you're going to be rowing constantly. So you're going to move 3 miles a day instead of 1 mile per hour instead of 8 hours, and then just float, obviously. you're going to row constantly and take shifts. It isn't necessarily full solid 8-hour shifts, but in the essence of it, it works out to be 3 rotations of 8 hours, which works out to 24 miles a day, which is up from 6 on land.
Mm-hmm.
What this matters for is, so for example, you're going to have rotation 1, rotation 2, and rotation 3. I don't know if you can see as I type, but if you can,
there it is. Yep.
I just updated it. So when you are rowing, if, for example, we'll just say hypothetically, there's a monster lurking around the corner, and it's going to try and ambush you, and rotation 1 is on boat 1 is, so let's say Agile and Ophelia. I'm going to use Agile and Ophelia. They're passive perceptions, and they're going to be the ones that are able to see or hear it.
Mm.
So what I'm going to need from you guys, not right away, but eventually, I'm going to need to know what kind of rotation you guys are dealing with. I'm going to need basically a rotation 1, 2, and 3 from you guys. You'll notice that you have the 2 of you on the left boat. Stool's not able to row, so you have 4 people. You guys are going to have 2 rotations. Whereas the other one, you're going to have 1 person who's going to be in a 3rd rotation by themselves, and I will wrap that up. So that's something you're going to have to work out. You can close that for now. We'll come back to that probably before next game. Just wanted to make mention of it. So that having been said, you guys are rowing on the Dark Lake. The Dark Lake being pitch black. It is absolutely terrifying. You can't see, and with even those of you with dark vision often don't have the ability to travel very far or see very far. The Dark Lake is very often more than 60 or 120 feet ahead. So that's a huge issue. The Dark Lake is terrifying. You can't see. The water is even more opaque than the darkness around you. There are often waterfalls. There are areas. Hemeth, the dreugar you've rescued, this guy, says that he can navigate you to Gracklestug. It takes 7 days if you pass through a set of dreugar lock and dam. The lock and dams being the things that manage waterfalls and will lower and raise boats from lower chambers. If you don't go that way, your travel time is going to be 10 days. So your first decision, as you are safe and you hear thumps on the bottom of your boat to start with, after you ascertain that these thumps aren't doing damage to your boat, you need to decide whether or not you are going to row around and add 3 days or attempt to get through a set of dreugar locks.
I think we want to spend as least amount of time as possible on the water, no?
Yes.
And to say these thumps in this darkness isn't doing much for my anxiety here. I agree.
No.
I agree we get out of these waters as soon as possible.
Yes.
Are the thumps like continuous? Like they just keep coming and coming and coming? Even though
They're not on a rhythm per se. They'll surface and thump the boat, and maybe 2 or 3 times in quick succession. Then they'll stop for 10 minutes. More testing.
Can we see them coming? Like when they do make an attack, or is it basically like we feel it?
You can feel it. Initially, you could see them. Now they're surfacing or they're going under and then coming up and hitting the bottom of your boat, so you cannot see them.
I don't know. Do we think we should try and do something about these thumpers? No. like some type of magical attack under the water to tell them to fuck off,
What if they get more mad?
Yeah, yes. I don't know. I worry that if they're with us and continually with us, if a time comes when we find ourselves in a tricky situation, they will be there to make the situation more tricky. It'd be double tricky.
See, I get the feeling that these aren't exactly helpful dolphins in our time of need.
What is a dolphin?
Forgive me, I must be experiencing madness still.
Forgive
Yes,
me, I'm
yes.
from the coast.
Say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Forgive me.
Well, I mean, I guess we can just see. I mean, Hemeth, is this a natural behavior for these creatures?
He says that he's never seen these creatures as interact, not considered to be standard wildlife.
Yes. Perhaps demonic, no? Well, hard to say, but
It's a definite possibility. They don't seem their behavior. If it were an animal, they would probably be much more straightforward and aggressive.
so let me ask this to our group then. At which point do we try and fight them?
Kosjurkis leans over the side of the boat and throws an experimental firebolt to see what happens into the water. Like, does it go through any depth, or does it just fizzle out immediately?
It fizzles out pretty quickly. It's made of pure fire.
Yeah, so not super effective.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Not the way I would use, not the word I would choose to use to describe it.
Just so long as they don't jump out of the water to try attacking us, like out here, I think we'll be fine.
Yes, should we tie ourselves down to the boat or something? I fear if one were to jump and knock one of us into the water, well, as they say, cats don't like water,
Hmm.
And they bite.
Cats? Or the what? The water?
The fish.
Oh,
He,
yes.
Points to
Yes.
his still fresh bite from the
Yes.
escape.
Yes, if one of us were to be taken overboard, especially at this point, I would fear for their chances. Hemeth, is there perhaps a closer refuge you could think of? Like a cove, or I don't know, is it somewhere where perhaps we could get away from these creatures, at least in the short term?
He knows the dreugar locks are probably about a good 12 hours ahead. They pass through them on their way to do trade.
Well, and then likely the creatures would not be able to follow us there, no?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know the locks function. Well, I don't want to talk down to it, but does everybody understand how a lock and dam works? I don't want to talk down to anybody. Okay.
Are they manned? Are they manned?
Oh yeah.
They're dreugar.
Wow, that's good.
That was pretty good, yeah. So theoretically, we maybe they'll be able to slip by, but more likely than not, we should be able to get by fine. So with all haste to the locks, no?
I have no arguments there.
Unless if the queen would like to try and make the fishies part of the friend club, I guess we can try.
I could give it a shot.
Just to clarify, demons can be part of friend club or no?
think anyone could be in the friend club. Everyone, has a little something.
It's a beautiful idea. Yes, okay. Well, by all means, if you'd like to make an attempt, we shall support you in this.
Okay. Let's see here. So, is the big ass stingray near?
You can't see them. They're too deep in the water to be seen. But aforementioned big ass stingray will. I mean, if you could jump in, you could probably definitely see him then.
Let's see here.
Don't do it. You have so much to live for.
So, if I use my new ability, could I pretend to be a stingray, like the queen of the stingrays, and then it will listen to me and think that I'm its like.
I feel like while I would greatly enjoy seeing you attempt such a thing, unfortunately, you don't know enough about those creatures to pull that off.
Damn.
Well, I'm just gonna yell out then. We just want to be friends. Stop smacking our boats, and then we'll just see what happens.
Fair enough. So, after you lean over there and holler into the water, let me delete these old two. I added 2 boat tokens there. I'm going to scoot them a little closer together, and you guys can move your tokens if you'd like and range them how you want.
Mm-hmm. Is this all level, or is there like kind of looks like there's a higher level on the back, or is it all just level?
The back area has a higher level.
Oh well, then Captain Smoke.
I'll leave that between you guys. So you holler over, and after a few seconds, an actual shadow makes its way up towards the surface, keeping
Cool.
a little bit of distance here.
Cool.
Holy shit, it worked.
So can I just yell out and say, "Hi there. How are you doing? Do you speak my language?"
I accidentally hit him. There he is. And there he is. So you see a second one who's a little bit closer come up.
This is gonna end well.
Oh, you brought your friend. Hi.
So you see that little spiked barbed tail that you saw in that picture? I'm not sure how close you are. It lifts its barbed tail out of the water and extends it towards you. Its tail's about right here. It's probably about 2 feet away from the edge of the boat. It's too far for you to touch without leaning over.
Like in a striking motion, or like
No.
that's his flipper, he wants to shake hands.
Like he extended his barbed tail. It's barbed, like probably would hurt if it hit you. It's got spikes on it, but it's not stabbing. It raised it slowly.
So then I just wave back.
It doesn't move the barb. It just kind of leaves it hanging there, pointed at you, towards you. And you can do an insight check on your skills if you want to see what it's trying to communicate.
And Tony, can I make a stealth check? Like try and hide myself in the back corner here, and maybe have a ready action to fire an arrow if this gets unfriendly.
Yeah, sure.
So don't think my roll went through.
It did not. You're showing connection lost, attempting to reconnect.
Ah, typical.
There it is.
I was wondering when this was going to happen.
So with a 19, Ophelia, you're estimating it's trying to reach out and get you to touch its barbed tail. Now, why? You don't quite know. Their thought process is too alien to you. So he does move forward and move his tail forward about another 6 inches, bringing it about 18 inches from you.
So I just look over at the group and I say, do you think he's trying to shake my hand?
Hang on.
You're back, Ben.
I was about to say, I just ducked out of the game. I'm updating it right now.
Fair enough.
Maybe he wants some food. Does anybody have a biscuit or some meat?
I'm just gonna quickly get an image that will sum up how Kosjurkis is looking at you.
He found one. He wants to share it.
There we go. That's an approximation of Kosjurkis' expression. Don't touch, they bite.
Oh. Do I have food on me that I can toss into the water?
You do.
Okay, I'm gonna toss some food at it and see if it's hungry.
The food plops down, and it's just mushroom. That's what you got. It doesn't respond to it. It just continues to kind of hover its barbed tail there, as far as you can tell, trying to get you to touch it.
So I just yell out, I'm not gonna touch your pokey thing there, but I just want to say we're friends, and then I'm not gonna touch.
And so he lowers his tail back down, and as he does, you feel 3 solid hits on the other side of the boat. Because you're not leaning over the boat, you don't need to do a saving throw to prevent yourself from falling over. But it hits pretty hard. It gives everybody a good rock, and all 5 of them start to sink back down. It's not a far guess that had you been leaning over, you probably would have fallen in, or at least had to make a saving throw to not fall on top of those 2 Ixtlechadnals.
You see.
Well, it's like everything in this place is just so mean.
But hey, you tried, so good effort and whatnot,
Thank you.
And who knows? Maybe the first contact. Maybe the next time we try, maybe they be a little more nice, or maybe we kill them.
Well, I don't know about that second option. Maybe they'll be nice again.
Yes.
Well, the reason you didn't get a reaction there is because they came from the opposite side. That's all. The ones you were focused on for your ready to action weren't taking any hostile actions.
Oh, yes. No worries, yeah.
Luring actions, yes. But, so, consequently, after this first contact Star Trek attempt, you notice that the thumping has stopped.
Spirit remains quiet for a couple of seconds before she says out, like, well, I'll be damned, it actually worked.
It is also worth noting that there was that wasn't the dumbest tactic. So rowing ahead, you guys continue traveling. As you are traveling along the Dark Lake, you pass through a number of tunnels. There are some that have a gentle incline. You guys have to row, and others where you have decline. you pass through a couple caverns that are relatively small, 60, 70 feet left to right or front to back, and you have to make your way across. Now, traveling along the Dark Lake is definitely not the easiest thing you've gathered. You come to one point, probably after about 3 hours of rowing, and you actually have to get out of the boat and climb up a wall. And to get up to that wall, you have to make your way up there and wait for the water to rise for about 45 minutes before you can get back into the boat. And that's something that Hemeth tells you, because a lot of times if the water rises extremely fast, it can turn your boats over, and it's a bad idea to be in them. That's one of the reasons why they have all of their boats and all of their supplies tied down. So, some interesting experiences. I'm going to apply a long rest because you guys are going to be resting and traveling for quite a while. I'm going to move these back down here. But if you are a wizard and you would like to change your spells, please help yourself. I believe druids can as well, but let's move Mr. Crabcat down here. Okay, so you do travel mostly uneventfully for the first hour aside. You don't get any more ixel-chatnal conversations. Along the way, especially during your long rest, Stool specifically is communicating strong emotions of sadness. They're not necessarily the same intensity as you guys would feel. Those of you who've been in close mental contact with Stool, such as Agile, you've been able to detect that his emotions aren't as intense as a humanoid's. They're more bland. But for him, it's an unemotional by humanoid standards, but by Stool standards, he is sad at the way Shushar died. And obviously, you guys had a lot going on right after he didn't have necessarily the time to react. And Jim Jar is also saddened by this.
I can't say I blame either of them. Spirit herself actually still kind of upset over that. She actually thought pretty highly of Shushar.
If anybody, he doesn't necessarily initiate any major conversation, but there's definitely a recognition of some being upset at the essence of the fact that he was killed in such a violent manner.
Is there like any Zerkwood or anything I could use like a dagger to whittle, or use my claws to like whittle something?
There is not here. You notice that the Dark Lake is essentially hard stone and tunnels and caverns and water. There isn't a massive amount of anything else.
Can I use like persuasion on him to make him feel like better?
Unfortunately not. I've tried that myself in real life. It's less effective than you would imagine. I thought it was funny.
If I was over in the same boat, I'd probably reach over to try to give him a hug, but unfortunately my arms aren't Mr. Fantastic levels of stretchy, so
if we're noticing that, I mean, like I'm sure all of us to a point are feeling not happy about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hemeth, Bopito, or Fargus, do any of them seem indifferent, or like they just don't like? I mean, heck, do you even seem joyful at this point? Like,
as far as you can tell, no. Give me an insight check if you want additional details.
Sure.
Sarah probably would have, the bastard.
Oh, they're kind of homies, though. Remember that? Remember how they were kind of homies?
No, not really, but if you say so.
They kind of were a little bit homies. He helped Stareth keep calm that one time, remember?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So no, they don't necessarily. Pretty much all of the Underdark denizens, including probably Jimjar the least, but they all definitely seem less emotionally invested in creatures, probably by the nature of the Underdark itself. But they don't seem happy or indifferent.
Right. Okay.
So traveling, other than that, the sadness there. After a good 12 hours of rowing and a long for everybody who could do it, you guys do hear up ahead waterfall.
Yay.
Yay. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. That was a part of what you were looking for, Emmett points out. And as you enter this cavern, you notice this, as you exit the tunnel, your boats sailing one behind the other, you see a massive cavern. At the end of the cavern is a huge hole that drops much further. And you can hear and see a waterfall falling probably about 200 feet from above, and then falling under into the hole, and the water around is not flowing into the hole anymore. On an outcropping of rock, gray, whitish rock, you see a small fortress, and it has stone walls that are crafted, and they are built rising out of the water. And there is extending in a semicircle connected to the outcropping of land, blocking the water in a dam-like function. To the side of the little outcropping, you see a pair of gates, pretty large gates. The stonework is drab. There is no carvings. There's no artwork. There's no accoutrements. It's just straight, solid stone, gray in color. The outcropping of land has a little cutout with a pair of stairs going down into the water.
As we're rowing up to this, do I have to yell to talk to people on the other boat, or can I?
You guys can get close enough to just converse.
Okay, so I'm going to say to Hamith, I'm going to say, it is very good of you to be fulfilling your end of the deal, and I don't know if anyone has said it yet. To thank you for what you've done so far. Well, of course, if this is the trap, you will be the first one to catch an arrow in the eye. Okay?
He kind of stares at you hard without any real response. And he, after a couple seconds of staring at you, he just kind of looks back towards the keep without responding.
And I'll move back to my other side of the boat here.
All right. So at outcropping there, I'm not going to move the tokens onto the boats per se, but that outcropping there, let me turn that right color. You guys row your boats up to. You pass two statues. There's a boat, but you guys can get around it pretty easily. And you guys can see that the actual keep, as far as you can tell, has no guards. There's nobody you can see. And Hemeth says, as a warning, to you guys, kind of noticing that you guys are not per se from the Underdark. A nice way to say it. For those of you who have no interaction with dreugar, he says that dreugar have a natural ability to turn themselves invisible. Simply because you don't see a dreugar does not mean that there are not dreugar present. The way it is assumed around dreugar society is that all words are heard and all actions are seen by all. That is why he kind of pointedly looks at Spirit. Deception is not in our nature. He just wants to warn you guys about that as you sail up. You will probably be expected to trade something if you desire to make your way in. Or through.
And what would this price be? Like a gold? Like a story, perhaps, you know?
That's going to be something you have to discuss with the commander of the fort.
Yeah, sounds fair. Sounds fair.
So, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to back away, or you want to sail row up to? What's your plan here?
I mean, we're pretty much safe on the water now, if we would just want to keep going.
What's our food situation looking like here?
Pretty safe and solid.
Tanner was keeping track of that, and he's not here.
That's fine. I have it here. In terms of your food, thanks to the kindness of Anaray, the out-of-character succubus, you have 100 pounds of food, I believe it was. He had marked down. Not sure where he wrote that down, but you had about 100 pounds of food, or at least quite a bit. I'm not sure where he kept it. He might have a note over here. But he himself has Goodberry, which he was able to use, so you have quite a bit of food. That's not a major issue for you. I'm pulling up his notes to see what he stored in them. Tanner's note. Food and water. 117 gallons of drinkable water, 121 pounds of food.
Nice. Okay.
10 people, so.
So we're good for at least a while then.
Yes, I mean, I don't think we need to stop here for provisions or anything, but yes,
going around will add 3 days.
Yes. So is it worth? And my fear is I'm working off the assumption that the giant demon monster tentacle bastard that we saw owns the Dark Lake. He came out of it. Like, we could run into him again any time, you know? So I would like to spend no time here, you know?
You think that he may emerge from the water to attack Gracklestug?
Who's to say, you know? But the Gracklestug has a dragon, no? So, I mean, he could maybe destroy anywhere he goes. Perhaps Gracklestug could be a place that could actually defend itself, right? I mean, Sloobludop, you know, clearly was not a well-designed community, no?
I mean, unless we just want to stop here and do something, I feel like we're fine to just keep going. I mean,
I just say, yeah, I'm good with the rest of the group on what they want to
do. Tony, can I determine? Like, is this considered this base, this outpost here, considered to be what's the term we're looking for? A ruin or a dungeon?
I mean, it's a fortress. It's an outpost. It's not necessarily a ruin or a dungeon per se, but you don't know what's underneath it.
Hmm.
I mean, it just depends on, it depends on what's inside. Hemeth is saying that it will take you, if you go through this way, it'll cut some time off your journey. So that's the gist of it. It's whether you want to get to Gracklestug in 10 days or 7 days.
I don't suppose we could just drop Bapido off here, because didn't he say he needed to get to Gracklestug for some reason?
He had to get to the. Oh yeah.
He wants to go to Gracklestug, but that, as far as I understood, that wasn't the reason you guys were going to Gracklestug.
I know, I'm just saying, I mean, since we're already here, I mean, if we don't want to go into Gracklestug, we could just, like, drop him off at the shore and then just book it out of here. One less party member.
Wow. And that's not a far step from just kill his ass.
Well,
Maybe it was you who killed Shushar. One less party member, right?
Maybe you're the one who killed Sereth as well. Oh no, you were right there. The last person to see Sereth alive.
What?
But I don't have any memory of doing anything. Am I going mad?
Well, if I am being honest, yeah, but if it seems like a bad idea generally to go, maybe I shall go by myself, or with one or two other people, whatever. We can go. We can find out the price. Maybe take a little look-see around, and then if it's too high of a price, or we're just not interested, we leave. Does anybody have a problem with that one?
I'm fine with whatever the group wants.
Good plan.
So I mean, if we want, I mean, yeah, like it's, well, I mean, like I do not think I should be the one negotiating with the commander here, but if someone were to negotiate, well, I take a look around, just to see.
Hemeth will vouch for you to get you in and speaking, but he can't negotiate for this group.
Right. So maybe me, Hemeth, anybody else want to stretch their legs, or no? It's no big deal. If you don't want to come, I can, I mean, even I could maybe go by myself, maybe not be seen, just take a look, see, whatever.
Well, Kosjurkis wants to get off this boat because he's never been on this much water before. He wants to go on the land.
Just say, I'll get up, but I'll probably stay near the boats, and
He'll come with you. Okay. Now, Tony, I have a quick question. On this journey, would I have had time to cast Find Familiar?
If you have the monetary amount for Find Familiar, which as I said, I don't believe it has it, but yes, you would.
I have 16 GP and I only need 10. There you go.
Well, you can deduct it as you choose, and we can have you a pseudo-dragon spectral familiar.
Hooray!
Fiendish, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
No implication. It could be a celestial. You got an Aasimar with you.
I even found a picture of one.
Cool.
If I can find out where I put it.
Well, I mean, at the risk of splitting the party, perhaps it is maybe a decent idea. Some of us go and see what's up. Some of us stay with the boats, make sure nothing is to happen. And then, if by the way, that is a nice dragon you have.
Yes.
Is this is baby dragon or
No.
is it a real dragon?
Yeah.
What is name?
Zintara.
Zimtara. This is a nice name. Well, anyways, perhaps
It's just suddenly a dragon.
Perhaps some of us go. How about we don't need to send everybody. In fact, I kind of like the idea of a quick exit if need be. But if everybody wants to come, whatever. But Sneaky Cat, me, 2 little dragons, Hemeth maybe hold the door, and then if need be, everybody else stay with boat. Or should we stay together? I don't know,
I'm fine with staying with the boat.
Kosjurkis, how fast can you be,
He kind of spreads his arms. This far. This fast.
That does seem pretty fast, maybe. My fear is that, say things go bad and we have to run very fast, and, I do not want to leave you behind.
Maybe I should come just so I could, pick him up and haul ass if we need to. Feline agility is a thing.
Well, I don't know, 2 little dragons, can you both fly?
No, only one.
Oh, only you can fly, I see.
Soon.
Oh.
He rubs his hands together.
So your Zentari, he can fly, yes?
Yes.
He, yeah, okay. So he better dragon than you, I see. Okay.
Wow.
Ouch.
But yeah. So then,
Just like that was necessary.
So then, could maybe you ride your friend dragon and then fly out together, and then I run very fast, and then it's all okay.
Let me quickly get an exact size for how big a pseudo dragon is.
Not very big.
Here you go. Here's a token for you for now. You can double click on the token and get some information.
Yay.
While I move him to get his own picture.
Let's see here.
And let's get that little fellow his very own picture.
Nice.
Let's see. Where's their size? How big is this?
They're small. He is.
I think they're about
unidentified tiny. So he is. I get you a size. He's probably about 2 feet tall at most. Probably smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a large rat.
Or a cat.
Like
cat size.
I feel like we can name things. We can use different things. Maybe like a half a possum.
So Tony, say for example that the dragon there lands on Kosjurkis' back, right? Like grabs hold of the back of him, right? And then it starts to try and fly, and Kosjurkis makes a waving motion with his arms as if he can fly.
Mm-hmm.
Could they perhaps get limited airtime?
No.
All right. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just go and let's see what happens. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a little bit curious. Buildings potentially old. Potentially with Dawnbreakers inside. You never know.
All right. So you guys head up to the door. You move your boats semi-close. Let's move the boats. How's that look? We'll just scoot the boats up here. We'll say that other boat's out of the way. And who is moving? Well, for all intents and purposes, let's just save everybody time, and I'll transfer you guys over here. Of course, we'll delete the crack cat.
Yeah, scared me for a sec. Okay, yeah.
And you guys move your tokens onto the boat if you want to stay on the boat.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Scooting that boat up.
Is it possible to just lock the boat so I don't drag it around by mistake like a damn fool?
I will. You can. I'll switch the layers. Just to give me a second. Just leave it be for now. Just put your guys kind of close, and I'll switch it layers. So who's all going inside?
Kosjurkis and Zrintara.
Just by yourself, or are you taking Agile with you?
Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Agile will definitely be coming too. You know. He might disappear for a few moments here or there, but for the most part, he'll be there.
Okay.
I'd say I'm off the boats. I'm staying nearby, but just in case you need me, just yell me out. I'll feline agility my tail over there as soon as possible.
Yeah, same here. I mean, if you need me to make a friend for you, just yell out.
Why can't we be friends?
Remember the code word. Do we remember the code word? If things go bad, do you remember what it was?
Is it help?
Yeah, but something like that. Yeah. Come quick, we are dying. I think was what it was. But yes, that works too.
I scared my cat yelling. I'm sorry, Precious. I won't yell again.
It's okay, sweetheart.
Yeah.
All right. So heading up there, you approach the door just like before. The door doesn't have any carvings or anything like that you've seen or come to, especially being on the surface, accustomed to on the surface with dwarven carvings and designs. As you move up, you got Hemeth up there. Good. So Hemeth tells you that you will be received warmly as long as you adhere to at least you'll be received non-hostily would be a more accurate phrase, as long as you adhere to the right protocol of politeness.
Oh, good.
Okay, is there any type of faux pas that we should avoid?
He said there's many of them. Lying, being dishonest, seeming of ill intent.
Okay, yep, okay.
So he knocks on the door, and shortly thereafter, after banging on the door, both doors swing open, and surprisingly, there is a dreugar riding a carrion crawler on each side of the door. You use these two tokens there.
Wow, that's terrifying.
You got the two carrion crawlers and their two dreugar riders who are looking down at you, and they don't say a word. They simply look at you expectantly, as if it's your obligation to explain your presence.
Hemeth.
So after a second, Hemeth waits at first for you guys to speak, and then eventually he starts speaking, and he kind of looks up and says to them, introducing himself as Hemeth. He says he is from Gracklestug, and he is of the Ironhead clan. You notice that kind of gets their attention. He says he was rescued by these travelers out of the Kawatoan village of Sloobludop, which has now been destroyed. They seek audience with the commander to negotiate passage through the locks. The guards kind of look over at you guys, kind of assessing you, and after a minute they part and make motion for you to enter.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So you should be getting a second map. It'll take a second to load, and it will be completely gray. But it won't be gray for long. I didn't want to overload everybody by sharing too many maps at once. So that map will come through. Actually, I managed to get part of it uncovered. And then we're starting at the top of the map for your general knowledge there. We are going to, I flipped the map over. I wanted to keep it towards the top in case you guys wanted to split them. Wasn't sure if you would or would not. So that having been said, I'm going to put you guys on the map here. So Kosjurkis, Agile, and say that name one more time.
Zrintara.
Zrintara. All right. So, and you guys make your way in, and you have the dreugar guards, as well as sitting in this room is a number of troughs having some liquid in them. As along with the liquid, it has some fungal mixtures that are fairly nasty. It looks like it's feeding troughs for the animals, and a massive pit, 10 foot by 10 foot pit, and it has a roaring fire in it. On the other side is a dreugar. He seems to be wearing a little bit nicer equipment, and I'll change his name so you can differentiate him from the others. And they make motion to him as if he is the commander. I put almost everybody on the wrong layer because why not? I'll get all those moved over. But he looks up as they enter, and he kind of apparently overheard part of it, and he looks up at you expectantly, once again, not acknowledging per se or greeting you, but expectantly on you to speak your piece.
Just kind of looking at Hemeth again, like, is he taking the lead here, or is this up to us at this point?
He kind of looks, he sees your look. He kind of nudges.
Mm-hmm.
He got you in, but you have to negotiate.
Well, greetings. Yes, my name is Agile of the Smoke, and I am here with my traveling companions, searching for many a thing, but I'm kind of like looking over at Kosjurkis.
Safe passage.
Yes, a safe passage, and potentially swords made of fire. You know what? But both would be good. We take what we get.
Stellar.
So he looks over at you, and before he even says anything, he says, "What do you offer?" And it pretty much becomes pretty clear that These deep dwarves, for those of you who, I believe it's all of you, who haven't interacted with them, seem to be a lot like surface dwarves, minus the fun aspects. They have the work ethic, they have the dedication and the sturdiness, but they seem to lack the humor and the love of life that the dwarves have. They just seem dour and grumpy and hard workers.
I'm just trying to think about what we actually have. I guess Kosjurkis has some of the most valuable things in the entire party.
Well, that's good.
Trade your spellbook.
Which one? He has 2.
You could offer both just to be sure.
Yeah.
We come bearing
information.
Yes, information for sure. Stories, I got some good ones too. Monetary value, of course. And of course, willing to perhaps exchange deeds. We are unaware of what the cost typically is, and thus, we are willing to negotiate as you see fit, good sir.
He looks you over, and he says, kind of, what information do you have? Where have you been?
Yeah, well, we've just come from Sloobludop.
Fishy place.
Yes. No longer though. This place it was assaulted by a great cataclysm, a great creature with tentacles and
2 heads.
yes, but like monkey, but octopus, but well, demonic nonetheless.
One of the
there goes our bargaining chip. We told them the information.
No, we got more.
One of the dreugar hops down off his mount, makes his way over, kind of mutters something in his ear. And the commander looks up at you guys and says, "Surfacers, you came from south of our current position on the shore of the Dark Lake, yes?"
Hemeth, is that true? Yeah? No?
Is that where we came from?
It is. He nods that you guys...
Yes!
For your perspective, let's put you... There you go. You see that circle is where Sloobludop is. You guys are about right here. So he kind of, that's just for your perspective, you can close that whenever makes you happy. And he looks at you and says, recently, 2 of our men abandoned their duties and stole their crawlers. Traitorous Darrow filth. It might as well be. Deserters and thieves. They were recently spotted by my patrols in the vicinity of the Kawatoan village.
Oh, we met those guys. But I don't say that out loud. That was
Yep.
out of character.
I have 4 men tracking their location. Last reports where they were last spotted trading in Sloobludop. What information have you? If it's valuable, I will allow you to pass through the locks.
With no disrespect intended, of course. Would you provide your word to what you just said? Because if we have information, which we do, I would not willingly.
He holds his hand up and stops you. He says, "Dreugar soldiers do not lie. If you have what we want, we will trade it for you, or we will kill you and take it. I have no need to lie to surfacers."
This is excellent to hear, but of course, killing us and then taking the information would be difficult. But
Oh boy.
Which is what leaves me with the necessity of telling the truth.
Indeed, and so thus I shall tell the truth in return. Well, there is a grove. This grove is a I forget the name of it. He kind of looks at Kosjurkis. What was it? It was Annabelle's Grove or
Anna Ray.
I know. I know. It was anyways a grove of the mushrooms. Yes.
Yes.
And there are many a creature there. It is a somewhat harmonious place somehow, and perhaps, for of course I do not know precisely, but there was in fact two dreugar there with carrion crawlers, and they were acting as foragers and guards for this place. Perhaps these are the two you look for, you know?
He does a scrutinizingly look at you along the lines of detecting whether or not you're telling the truth. And he says, is that all the information you have? Can you describe them? Describe the forces? Describe the way? Can you draw a map? Let's start with the dreugar. Can you accurately describe them so I know you're not talking about other dreugar?
He looks around the room at these identical bearded dwarves.
You can stick with a statement that Agile Smoke describes them if you would like.
Yeah, I mean, like,
or lies, or describes a different dwarf, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, so like definitely describes them, but like points out the fact that they were like more colorful. Yeah, very colorful. Yes.
He kind of looks over, like a flicker of recognition that he doesn't even try to hide, seemingly caught his attention. And then he looks back and he says, can you draw a map from your current location or from the Kawatoan village to this grove?
Potentially, yes. As you pointed out, we are servicing. You know, we are not necessarily the most adapted down here, but potentially, yes, I could do this.
He says, in exchange for that map, I will allow you safe passage through the locks.
This sounds fair, no?
Yes.
Good. Of course, being a honorable person as you are, I know you would perhaps, like to provide more information on anything we might ask, because you're so nice. And thus, I also would like to provide you more information. In this grove, there is an umber hall. Yes, I think this is how you say it.
Yes.
A hulk of the umber. Yes, a very, very vicious creature. You should be careful if you dare go there. You know.
We will take adequate forces.
Yes.
Your information is valuable. You've earned your passage.
Thank you, and I will happily make you a map. Now, this is by chance, you know anything of a sword, that the blade made of flame, and it's been referred to by many names, but Dawnbringer is a name often used.
He doesn't seem to recognize the name. Thinking it over for a second, he says he's never heard of it.
Insight check. Da!
Aha! As far as you can tell, he's telling the truth.
Shit. Well, it's that is fair. That is fair. I mean, just between me and you, is there any other, I'm an archaeologist. I'd like to go and research and find, the places that may be. Have you heard of any, place of ruin, place of, interest that could perhaps be worth my study?
He is not.
Nah, this is fair. This is fair. Well, do you have paper so I can make you the map?
He signals to one of the dreugar, and they bring you paper and a quill.
Oh boy.
Excellent, excellent. Do I need to make a check or something, or?
No, you can map without any effort.
All right, so the map's going to be entirely correct. But it's clearly going to highlight going through Sloobludop.
I mean, you did just tell him. There was a big ass demon there, so.
Yeah, but like that's like I'm
That's the
like
way we
this
came from.
this
That's
is the way we know. Yeah, it's if they think they can find an alternate path, that's fine. But
you know what you know.
Yeah, know what I know. So quite clearly, go back to Sloobludop, sleep a night in the tribal leader's house, and then go back.
If we were tracing our steps, we have to almost get sacrificed and then go take a nap.
I mean, yeah.
So survive a demon attack, almost get sacrificed, sleep, and then leave.
Right. Get ambushed on the beach. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we're just making like jot notes on the side of like.
They're just like, what the fuck is this?
And I'm thinking I'm right here. This was after the Silk Path, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well.
Spiders are gonna get him.
Gonna get you, man. So he, when you finish the map, he takes it and gives you a curt, but probably what you presume passes for an appreciative nod, but what passes for in their culture, in your culture, seems just kind of dismissive and rude. And he says, "Our business is concluded. You may leave."
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Pleasant long days and pleasant nights.
Outstanding. We're going to take a 5-minute break here, and we will resume with you guys passing through.
Wow, we actually did diplomacy without like anyone getting insulted or hurt.
Yeah, I didn't get to steal anything though, which is kind of I consider this a failure, but it's all good.
You know.
On the party front, it's a failure, but on the I don't think we've ever managed to do diplomacy successfully.
First time for everything.
When you're completely willing to throw innocent creatures under the bus, you can accomplish many things.
Well, this is what happens when you send the lawful evil kobold to like do your negotiating for
and
you.
I mean, innocent creatures, succubus. Not the same sentence, I don't think.
Well, I'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
All right.
They have an Umber Hulk. We'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Like we saw what they can do. They mess up some zombies as long as they're not all high.
Well, she might just grab them when they show up, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
All right, I'll be right back.
Here comes the police. I think that was Siren Siren.
Yeah, it's fine.
Only feels right to point out too. That was the second, diplomatic talk that we succeeded on in this game.
Oh, I'm not talking about only in this game. I'm talking about like in both campaigns.
Yeah, we weren't too good at that in the last one. I know.
And if we did successfully diplomatize somebody, we immediately tried to stab them in the back.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, like,
because I'm counting that because we've managed to negotiate surrender in the past. I don't know if you and Ben were there for it, but like there's been at least one time when we managed to negotiate surrender in the last campaign, and Ben immediately tried to kill them when they didn't completely surrender to us.
I think I was there for that.
We were like, throw down your weapons and give us all your stuff, and they're like, no, like we'll just leave, and then we're like, no, that's unacceptable. Time for you to die.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Then
We
again,
had
I don't know.
very few reoccurring villains in that campaign.
Well, Ophelia talked down those mana rays back there. I mean, they didn't join the best friend club or anything, but I mean, they fucked off, so that seemed good.
Maybe that's the theme of this campaign, is that we're way more willing to talk.
Hey guys.
Well, it's a good mentality to have, anyways.
Betray everybody?
No.
Oh,
No, it's more like the sniper's plan from Team Fortress 2. Be polite, be respectable, have a plan to kill everyone you meet.
Yeah, there you go. I think so far, I think this is the longest we've gone without betraying anybody. Well, we just kind of broke that record, though.
No,
Day since betrayal, 0.
we did not betray her. We did not. No. No.
Didn't she give you a magical artifact just to help you?
Well, we earned it, first of all. And second of all, you could say that we just sent her more followers.
And also, technically, because we only got that magical artifact because we were doing her a favor already.
It's true. Well,
I don't know. I assume that she's gonna, make friends with all of them and end up becoming the queen of the Underdark, and it'll be totally fine. So.
Yeah, she's the next Lolth. But
well,
less spidery.
Yeah.
More alcoholic-y. That having been said, let's go ahead and straighten out this boat thing. So let me move this. That's not what I want. Okay. So what we do need, we need to handle the hiccups here. I'm going to cut it down to 2 rotations for each boat. So for boat 1 and boat 2, I'm going to need to know who's going to operate on what rotation. And it's just so that who I know to who's going to be rowing.
So to confirm, you were saying that the rowers have their passive perceptions as the ones for the group?
So here's how it'll work. Say you guys are rowing, and I roll, and you guys have an encounter for an Ix will chat and will attack you. Just use what we've already seen. And it's about to attack. If, for example, Agile and Ophelia, rotation 1, Spirit and Rolen are on rotation 2. I'm going to roll at 1d2, which is just going to be
the coin.
The coin. I'm just going to flip a coin, and if it comes up with 1, I will use the people on rotation 1's passive perception versus the stealth of the creature, and versus the people on rotation 2, and then that will determine who gets a surprise round.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I was thinking kind of precisely that me and Roland should be on opposite shifts or whatever, like not doubling up our passive perceptions, right?
Yes. So passive perceptions are on your character sheet on the front. main tab, and it should be right next to your strength saving throw. If you're curious what your passive perception is. And
Oh, Jim Jar's got a high passive perception too. I didn't realize.
Oh, you know what's good is that I was just thinking about how much it sucks that Kosjurkis has a really low passive perception. But Zrentara has a pretty decent passive perception, so there you go. Problem solved.
What's pretty decent? Like
13.
15? What is it?
13, which is decent considering Kosjurkis is 11.
Okay. Well, I got 16. Jim Jar's got 16.
I only
think
have
Rolen.
13.
I think Rolen's somewhere in the.
Rolling in the deep. Oh, that's the name of this campaign. Oh my god.
Keep rolling, 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 rolling. What?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
did you say? What'd you say you had? Spirit?
What's that?
13.
Oh, I thought you said you and Ophelia had a 10. Was it gonna be water monsters sneaking up on you?
No.
Water's pretty.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, she's a cat. She's distracted by shiny things, so.
Right.
It is what it is.
Is that
Oh.
racist? I don't know.
Speciesist? Well, hopping on. So, looking at the boat setup, who's going to be on rotation 1?
So sure, like let's say Smoke and Ophelia, yeah.
And
I'm fine.
are you guys on the same boat?
We can be, if you want.
I don't care. That's my.
I don't know. Should we switch up the boat? Who's on which boats? Like I don't know.
It doesn't matter. You can arrange it however you want.
I do feel like me and Hemeth should be on opposite boats only, so that like if we somehow get separated, potentially with my my ranger trait, I can get the off boat back on track. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't know if it matters. Does it?
Not too much, I don't suppose.
So we'll put Smoke and Ophelia on lookout for the rowing rotations on boat 1 and 2, and we can change it up if you want. This is just for now. On the other side, rotation 2, you said Rolen, and who else? You can have 2 people. I'm just writing this right now.
Let's say I'll take position on that.
We'll just let Kosjurkis ride it out like a bum.
He's bumming.
Let's say, I mean, he's got his pseudo dragon. He can, keep watch out for us.
Okay, so
throw a firebolt in the air as a warning.
And lastly, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it right away. I wanted to give it a minute. But you guys did rest, and since you didn't think Ben was important enough,
Oh no!
Fuck.
Heal.
No. But hold on. Wouldn't what's his pickle? Roland be on that maybe?
Yeah.
He said he was gonna take care of Spirit, right?
Oh, this is so bad. This is what it's gonna be like.
Damn it.
Not gonna lie, I was also kind of hoping you kind of half forgot about that. That's why I didn't say anything.
Well, it's usually not a good bet that I forget about stuff in D&D. If I let something, if I don't mention it again, I probably let it go on purpose.
Yeah.
It's worse now that I built a new computer because I have 3 monitors, so now I can just have stuff up that I wrote down last time.
Oh no.
Smart.
That's actually pretty clever.
So, yeah. Well played. So, I'm going to need a medicine check with advantage from whoever decides to do that. You can check your skills and compare. I will tell you what Roland's is.
Yeah, it seems like a rolling thing to do, though, no? I mean,
He has a +6.
Wow.
Is Ophelia good at that?
I don't know.
0.
Yeah, it's a rolling thing to do with probably an assist.
A little bit of assist for some advantage with a +6. giving him a 20, which is 0 damage, requiring no spell slots to be used for the day.
Huzzah!
And the beautiful thing about this is you have to do it at the beginning of the day. So if he has to use any of his spell slots, that's actually counting against your resources if you are encountered that day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always fun.
You know, come to think of it, there's actually another reason we could stop in at Gracklestug. We could probably find someone to remove this curse without having to wait for us to reach level 5.
Also true.
Maybe. Yep.
Yeah.
So, are you jumping back in now that we got that straightened out? What is your guys' intention? You just heading on out? You went ahead and betrayed your friends, traded their lives for some acid.
Tony? No, we didn't.
No,
Anna can take care of herself.
You guys can phrase and rewrap things any way you want. I'm not gonna, prevent you. I'm just gonna call it like it. The question is, are you guys heading back out? Are you guys staying and talking? What's your plan?
I mean, there's no need to.
Not really.
There's no need to hang out, really. Let's get the fuck out of here, right?
Okay.
I mean, so like that room that we were in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that seem to be like the main building, the main room of the fortress? Or
This
like
room
outpost?
is small compared to the size that you could see of the outpost from the outside was small. I'm saying this room was small compared to that.
So there's so much more?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
There's probably rooms and mess halls, and I mean, it's an outpost, a military outpost, so.
And almost definitely dreugar design.
Oh, absolutely. There's not even a question about that.
Yeah. How long? For about 45 minutes for the locks to do their job, right?
Yes.
Okay, so walking back to the boats, right? Right. Okay, so while the locks do their work and whatnot, my thinking, I'm going to go look around. Okay, you guys chill. You guys do what you got to do. I promise not to get into trouble. I kill no one, and I probably take nothing. And I'd be very sneaky, and I'm gonna look around and just see, because you never know, like perhaps they, weirdly, lying about what they had there or did not have, just getting a look, Okay, all right. Does anybody have a problem with that? Of course not, right?
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Oh yes, no, but it's good to get knowledge, and potentially things. But anyways, and looking like Hemeth in the eye, Hemeth, just curiosity. If your dreugar friends were to find me snooping about, they kill me or they just say bad boy? What do they do?
Breaking the rules in dreugar society is punishable by death.
It is rule to not be sneaky?
To trespass in areas you are not authorized to be is punishable by death.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you get caught, we're not going to save you, basically. No, I'm just kidding.
You can do what you want to do.
And Hemeth, you if I go right now, do you go tell your friends?
He says that he strongly advises against it. He says he will not betray you because he owes you his life, and you but saved his life. He will not sacrifice yours. He has no loyalty to these guys. But he tells you that in dreugar society, it is assumed that every word spoken and every action is seen. For every guard you see, there are 3 invisible guards.
Yeah. Okay, well, extending his hand to Hammett, he goes, thank you so much for your honesty and for doing what you've done. Okay.
Question. I understand that this is a concentration spell, but if I were to cast Pass Without Trace on someone, would I still be able to have to try to maintain concentration on him, or would I have to be within like a certain radius of this individual?
I don't understand what you're saying.
If Agile is gung ho about going off and sneaking around like this individual or this particular place, would I still be able to remain by the boats, cast Pass Without Trace on him, and still remain by the boats while he gallivants off to do whatever he wants to do?
So you're asking if going outside of the range of the spell or breaking like line of sight.
Yeah, I'm just saying, does it have a line of sight or a range, or does it have like a specific range? Does it only affect me, or okay?
So for your spell, this is actually a good question. It applies to Ophelia, Rolen, Kosjurkis, everybody. So on your spells, you have lots of spells. Whatever your spell is, if it has a range of 100 feet, for example, that range only applies to when you cast it. We'll use Spiritual Weapon from Ophelia's sheet. So Spiritual Weapon has a 60-foot range.
It says range self. Okay, so I can only cast it on myself.
It is worth mentioning that if you cast a spell on somebody, the range is only effective at the time of casting. So if Ophelia casts Spiritual Weapon and then runs away or moves the Spiritual Weapon more than 60 feet from her, it does not disappear. The range of a spell only required at the time of casting. So if you cast Pass Without Trace on somebody and they move out of your line of sight and really far away, that spell still is in effect.
Okay. It says range is self here, so does that mean it only affects myself or just only affects the self of the person I cast it on?
It would be touching it with someone else.
It's only you.
But
okay,
it might say that you and up to X number of other creatures.
Well, it says here for yourself and each creature you choose within 30 feet of you, including yourself, having a +10 bonus to dexterity.
Okay, so that's if you're like all traveling together.
Yeah.
Like you can. That is where the range is important, I believe.
It is.
All right.
So that it will specifically state that. Where is this at? Way of the Shadow.
Yes. Well, I'm also looking at the 5e. I'm looking this up on another location here. I'm using 5e tools to look it up.
But he's right. The range, when it's in the spell description as opposed to at the top, it matters.
Okay.
So he has to stay within 30 feet of you. Now you can go with him. That way, if you get caught, they can kill two of you. And I mean, like you said, that's less mouth to feed, right?
Yeah.
But then we'd lose like 18 team lives.
Yeah. It's true. That's the math, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, wait. 17. I think. 17 at this point because of the mummy touch.
Yeah.
Agile is gonna go and just sit on the boat.
Let's say I do have darkness. I believe I can cast. Let me review that.
That.
I mean, it's not gonna help out a whole hell of a lot, I don't think. But.
Well, if you had to get away.
Yeah.
You got to get away. Got to get away.
Let me double check here. Yeah, darkness, which is 60 feet range, and silence was 120 feet range. So I can cast silence on Agile, and within a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point I choose with him, for at least up to 120 feet, no sound can be created or pass through within that sphere. Also, I have the minor illusion cantrip, so
If you cast silence on like an object and then carry the object, does that transfer the sphere around with you, or is that not how
Yes.
that works?
I didn't think so.
Yes, I believe it does.
Oh, it does.
So,
Because darkness works that way too, right? Like
and
you can pass
and
it
so
on.
does light. So, if you ever read it, and it's for the duration, no sound, centered on a point you choose within range, and it will tell you if it can be cast. Now, if it can be cast on an item, I have to see if it can. Any creature, object, so no. Silence is a point in space only. But yes, if you can cast a spell on an object, it is transport. I had to check. Doesn't look like silence. It used to allow that, but this new edition has denied that.
Well, that's pretty overpowered. I think you can just never be detected.
Right. So, unfortunately, no.
Alas.
Well, not only that, but I have to spend like 2 key points just to cast any of these spells anyway, and I only got like 4 available to me. So.
Well, you guys made a deal. The locks fill up, and 2 gates open, and your boats are available to be rowed in unless you want to see if you can get yourself killed by dreugar magic.
Huh?
What?
What's that about? What?
Don't worry about it.
He's saying if you want to go and sneak off and attempt to be caught, then you're free to do that.
He's basically saying do what you want because a pirate is free.
Yeah.
You are a pirate.
It's true.
Overly tempted, but not suicidal, staying on the boat.
Okay, so you row your boats, row gently down the stream into the locks where the gates are closed, and you notice that the dreugar, while dour and grumpy, they are still dwarves. They seem to have some pipes and some water trapping mechanism deep in that large building you saw. As the gates close, the water starts to drain out of the area that your boats are parked in, and the water level starts lowering. Boats start going down, and you find yourselves in the lowered area. It takes, again, about 45 minutes. As you do start lowering yourselves lower down, you are at the level at the bottom of the waterfall. So you are in a much better position. You definitely know that had, hypothetically, this thing not been here, you would have destroyed your boats going down the waterfall. There's no way those boats would have survived. So they definitely serve a purpose, that's for sure. The dreugar have definitely invented a very intelligently engineered manner of rising and boats for the Underdark. Obviously, those of us with engineering degrees probably consider it a little less advanced, but for Dungeons and Dragons time, and especially considering the technology, they're doing quite well.
Well, it's pretty hard to do, actually. I don't know how to do that.
Me either. I got to be on one when Tasha and I went on a riverboat.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
So you guys find yourselves at the bottom of the waterfall.
We did it.
Non-violently negotiated your way past. And now, what is your plan?
I checked behind the waterfall for secret cows. No.
Is there
I think you should.
any glowing swords lodged into rocks behind the waterfall?
Oh my gosh.
A thing that had not even been considered previously.
Unfortunately, no. There are.
Damn.
So now there's a waterfall between us and the demons, right?
It's true.
There we go. We're probably a little bit, somewhat, kind of, tiny bit safe. But it's also the Underdark, so...
Alrighty. So, you guys begin rowing away from the waterfall. and it does not take very long before you start to exit this massive chamber, and you find yourselves exiting through the only tunnel that Hemeth indicates will lead you to Gracklestug, and it is a tunnel whose clearance is 3 feet above the water.
Oh, good.
So any medium creature is going to need to make a dexterity saving throw.
Woo.
Oh,
Or
jeez.
Yeah.
No!
Nice roll.
So Agile, Ophelia, Spirit, Rolen.
Now,
I'll get Roland's.
Tony, I got a quick question for you. I'm noticing on the map here that there's like a hatch in the floor.
There is. It's for cargo.
Yeah, but you can put people in there too.
It's only about 2 feet.
I
You can
didn't
put
get any
some
maps.
people in there.
Okay.
Queen Ophelia was unconscious for that roll.
Oh, there we go.
Queen Ophelia, I forgot to remove that. Will you please re-roll that now?
Oh, jeez.
Ouch.
So, as you guys are passing through, Queen Ophelia hits her head on a particularly low-hanging stalagmite, or tight. I'll never get that right. And takes 1 point of damage with a small scrape on the top of her head.
Oh no.
Oh no. But you pass through fairly quickly, little scratches notwithstanding. As you guys continue rowing, you guys settle down for food. Everybody's kind of accustoming. It's about your second day of travel. You guys rested after the first one. About another couple hours ahead, everybody's eating their lunch. And for those of you on I switched Rolen onto the other boat because on the rowing rotation, it puts Rolen and Smoke on the same boat one. So I just switched them over. You can rearrange people anytime you want. I don't care. Not in the middle of battle, obviously, but you guys can pull the boats up next to each other on calm water and just swap people. It's completely up to you. But while traveling, after a few hours of rolling while eating, those of you on boat number 2, that'll be the boat to the right, Ophelia and Spirit and Fargus, Hemeth and Bupido. Hemeth, as he finishes eating, tosses his food gear, his plate and his fork at his feet and orders Bupido to clean it.
Uh-oh.
And
There
he
it
does
is.
it not necessarily in a angry manner. It's almost an accustomed behavior, something you guys notice as Bupido has described to you, if you recall. It's definitely something that the Darrow and the dreugar are different races. The Darrow, as I said before, they're kind of, think of them as human dwarf hybrids. They don't have the stocky build of the dwarves, but they're stockier than humans. They're definitely like, I'd say 25% human, 75% deep dwarf. But they're looked at as half-breeds and inferior, and for many thousands of years, they were slaves in Gracklestug, but they are still second-class citizens. And the way he does it is almost like it's expected, the way you would talk to your pet when you tell it to sit. It's not like mean. There's no malice or meanness in it. He's just telling him to do something. And he walks away and starts talking to Queen Ophelia as if nothing unusual had happened.
Well, I let him know that we are all friends here, and we do not have slave pets. So he's free to wash his own dishes, and not be rude to other people.
Okay. That's, a valid valid point, and to accentuate your point, the bowl smacks him in the back of the head.
No.
It wasn't necessarily timed per se with your statement, but, you know, there was a well-timed crash as it hits him in the back of the head. And not wearing armor, or having weapons for that matter, it doesn't take much, and a thrown weapon, I used a spear, but he hits him in the back of the head, and it definitely stings, apparently, because it does 1 point of damage, improvised weapon though it is. Close this here. Hemeth turns around and launches himself at Bupido. And they are going to roll individual initiative. Nobody is required to be involved in this, but you're welcome to be, because they are going at it. And it looks like Hemeth came out with a 15 versus Bupido's 5. And as he launches himself, Bupido lets out the standard, "Ah!"
So if I can, smoke as they start fighting, bow in hand, arrow at the ready, keeping an eye out, like not watching the fight, but keeping an eye out. We're making a commotion. If anybody notices our commotion and starts making their way towards us, I'd like to be paying attention to that.
Okay. Okay, so as you are watching out for that, let me type in this unarmed strike here, because it's fairly quick. We don't want to miss out on too much weaponry, but let's go ahead and get this unarmed strike in here. Apparently. Go ahead.
Am I able to get in there and break it up?
You can, and you're going to have to roll initiative.
Oh!
Wow.
Look at that.
While this is all happening, can Kosjurkis and Zrin just kind of like wander over to the edge of the boat just to like watch?
You can. But let me get this entered in here, because I don't want to, since you're getting involved, you obviously are going to be able to act first with that initiative. Sure, I got that all put in for his crappy. So you can act first and intercede yourself between them, since you got a higher initiative. In doing so, there's a chance you could get hit. Understanding that. Oh.
No longer on board.
As you intercede yourself, what do you say to them as they're about to jump at each other? Or do you just stand between them and hope they don't want to hit you?
I stand in between them and I let them know that we have bigger fish to fry here. We are in danger of giant sea thingies and they need to calm it down. And then can I do minor illusion and put a big ass wall in?
You can. And you can cast minor illusion as your action. Give me a persuasion check. Well, let me phrase this. You can cast minor illusion, or you can try to persuade them with a skill check. You can try and calm them down with your words, or you can use your magic. You know, that'll do it. Hemeth kind of stops, and Bupido's still mad, but he got a good solid hit on the back of his head, so he's less mad than he was before he hit him in the back of the head with a bowl. But they do calm down and agree to not fight it out. They don't necessarily agree that they won't resolve it later, but they agree for now there are bigger fish to fry, and they're not going to slug it out right this second.
Okay, a couple of questions I have. How open are we around? Is like they're like what's the ceiling at this point? Like, how high is the ceiling?
30 feet.
30 feet. Okay. Is it possible for me to jump between both boats from where I'm at?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can get them. You guys can move them in any way you choose.
Okay. The only thing is I recommend to prevent something like this from happening. Agile's over on the other boat, and he said he wanted to remain separate from Hemeth. Maybe we should just move Bupido over to the other boat just to keep them two separated to, prevent something like this from happening again.
Yep, I'll trade you Jib Jar.
So.
Well, let's do a Jim Jar for Bupido trade. How's that sound?
So yeah, I can. If they're both considered what, small creatures, or are they medium?
They're both medium.
Okay, both medium. Because I could probably pick one of them up and just kind of carry one over as I jump across.
Let's let them do it on their own.
Yeah, don't demean the small folk.
Nobody throws a dwarf.
Oh, funny, because that was my next suggestion, was just to pick him up and just yeet him over to the other side.
Now, if we can get him close enough, like Agile will say something like, Bopito, I could use you to help us row on this side. Your strength is well known among us all. If you could join us on this side, please. And frankly, Jim Jar, you're doing nothing here, so please leave. But like winking at Jim Jar as I say that, right?
It's a yeet or be yeeted kind of world.
Yep.
So they switch places. Bupido throwing a couple dirty looks backwards.
I'm sure that this is gonna go well too.
Is this?
Are
those dirty looks like specifically directed at anyone?
Yeah, they're directed at each other. Hemeth and Bupido. They're not friends. They're not.
So long as you ain't glaring at me.
So after that, you guys begin navigating again, traveling. Turn that battle music off, because that's no fun. Can't have battle music without a battle.
It's true.
It's basically like terrorism. So as you guys begin navigating, no longer near a waterfall, you roll away. The sound fades behind. Another 3-4 hours you travel. No real short rest. I can apply a short rest if you guys would like. But you guys are resting pretty evenly. As you are, Spirit is on the rotation for the rowing when she spots a number of stalagmites ahead jutting up from the bottom of the area. Looks like it's just an area that has a nest of stalagmites, and they do resemble some type of teeth. They're not, the current's not sweeping you that way violently, but there is a current. So you guys are going to need to do a series of 3 dexterity checks to navigate successfully, that's per boat, through without damaging.
So is that dexterity check for all of us, or is that just?
It'll be whoever's navigating. So it'll be you, and you get advantage because you have someone with you. So you can add that in at advantage. Looks like you have Rolen going. So. Well,
nice.
boat number 2 just sails right on through. A little bank to the left, a little bank to the right. Call it a day. Does anybody want to roll this Roland's +0 dexterity check at advantage?
Oh boy.
Who's with Rolen right now?
Looks like you and Bupido.
Can I make the rules?
If you want to run up and push him out of the way and take over, yes, you guys have enough time. If there were like a current that swept you towards it or you didn't spot it, no.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if as long as do I still get the advantage and all that? Like, it's just a matter of like me kind of taking the helm.
I'm just assuming it takes 2 people to row, so there's an NPC on the opposite side.
Right. Okay.
So they grant advantage.
So Smoke will kind of like step up and say, Rolen, let the captain take this. Okay, buddy?
Rolen happily moves out of the way, and let's see what you got.
That was just straight dex checks, right?
3 straight dexterity checks.
At advantage, though. Okay. Huh. And here.
Very nice.
And here.
Oh my god.
Very nicely done. As you navigate through, all boats avoid 24 points of damage from slamming into a stalagmite. They do have 100 hit points, so that does help, but still, that would definitely.
Oh no,
Still.
I don't have mending.
So you guys pass through this area, and since you asked Spirit, apparently that's still going. Since you asked Spirit, give me a active perception check.
Active perception, give me 1 second. Here you go.
And let me give you one in return. So as you are navigating, since you specifically stated you were looking around, you guys are just coming out the other side of this area, which Hemeth tells you they occur throughout the Underdark. They're commonly referred to as stone teeth. Just kind of navigate around these stalagmites. Apparently coming out about, you're not exactly sure, maybe 200 feet behind you, you see 3 boats. And they appear to be following you. And gaining ground.
Hemeth, is this your thoughts?
He said he doesn't see the dreugar would not waste resources chasing us. If they wanted to kill us, they would have done it then. Dreugar don't.
But the likelihood of pirates?
Or worse, Ilvara and her crew. They can't be already after us on boats, can they? Holy shit.
Okay, at the risk of being racist, I'm going to ready an action. If I see a drow on the boat the boat's coming up on us, I'm going to shoot it.
Outstanding. And at the risk of ending on a cliffhanger, we're going to pick this up next game.
Nice.
We're going to pick this up with the leisurely. I was authentically curious if you guys were going to, if I personally had to negotiate my way past the lock and dam and I knew somebody was chasing me, I might have dropped a couple gold to keep the locks locked or something.
Fuck.
Forgot about that.
Well, we who knows, right? We thought we had more of a head start, whatever. Well,
when you're level 4, you got to find a boat. When you're a high priestess of Loth, it's usually not as difficult.
Yeah, but they might have had to find a demigorgon or whatever.
Well, I will see you guys next week, and Tanner will be there next week, right?
Should be.
Outstanding.
Sounds like we're gonna need him. All right.
Oh, before you go, Tony. Could we rename this pseudo-dragon token? Or give me access to do so?
I don't know if I can. I know I can't rename it. Oh, it's because pseudo-dragon still doesn't it. Can you spell it?
Yep, 1 sec. There you go.
Where? Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go.
Now he, she, it as a name.
I haven't decided yet.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, that will be the game for this week.
Alrighty.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.
lady.
See
See you later.